Hey YouTube, and welcome back to another issue of building our Back to the Future DeLorean. This is going to be issue number 20. Let's get started. This issue we're going to be doing the intake manifolds with a ton of screws. I'm assuming we're going to be attaching it to the piece we built in issue number 19. Here's the instructions we're going to be following. Appears to be another fairly quick build. More production diary stuff with all the clocks. That was one of my favorite scenes, is the opening with all the cool clocks. I thought that was awesome. Oh, this was another great scene. I will never forget the first time I saw that movie. My heart was in my throat when he was hanging from that clock. Good stuff. Oh, and then an article on Huey Lewis, who is hopefully doing better. He's had some health problems the last year or so, so hopefully he's gotten over that and is back to performing. Oh, and an article on Jailbird Joey. And then here we got the cylinder head covers and the thermostat, which is what we're working on next issue. So, let's get started. As usual, I've got my screwdrivers number 1 and number 10 from previous issues, and my ever-present pair of tweezers. Looks like we've got all AP screws this episode, so that's going to be screwdriver number 1. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Looks like we're going to start with these two pieces, and we're going to be putting these 3 sets of pipes, which appear to all be identical, along the back. Okay, I was turning them upside down. There we go. That's the way they need to go in. They're going to go like this, and then there's just going to be a set of 3. And all of them are going to be attached with AP screws. So rather than just lay the whole thing out, which is, as we all know, it's just going to fall over, we will go ahead and get started with the AP screws and build as we go here. So we got 4. We're going to need 6. Okay, I'm going to leave these a little bit loose until I get all of them on, just so we can make sure that I got this thing on just the way it needs to go. I can't even imagine how a dude with big hands would survive this build. I've got very small hands for a guy, and I still have a lot of problems making it through these issues. I've got issues with the issues. Okay, so there's the first one. Notice that I left the screws loose enough where I can adjust this as needed, which I'm sure it's going to be. I'll get the second one in there. If I can, I'm going to leave these loose until I find out exactly where this thing is going. Because even when I get all of them in there, it could potentially be a little bit crooked. more stable the more screws that I add. Okay, got all 6 screws in there, and this is what we got. And then we need to add these 2 pieces here. So it's going to need to be yeah. So naturally, this is going to go right here, which means as soon as I put this on, I no longer have the ability to tighten these screws. Which is really annoying, because since these move around, I might have to actually take the whole thing apart if I don't have the piece sitting just right. Sadly, there's not going to be another way to get that done. So I'm just going to tighten these down and hope for the best. Okay, so it's facing that direction. Looks like this thing is relatively universal, so it shouldn't theoretically matter. But as you can see, if I hold it straight up, it looks like they're all going at a bit of an angle. But again, these 2 pieces that we're about ready to put on appear to be identical. So we will see. But it looks like it's facing in this direction. We've got the lump here with the notch here.
You put it on wrong.
How do you figure?
Well, if you look at this, short end, long end, long end. Short, short, long, long.
That's why we have the angle there. She is absolutely correct. If you look at these right here, one has an extension here and one has an extension here, which means I put one of these on upside down.
So you're going to have to take the one side off and switch it.
Yep. Good thing Shan was here, or I would have put that whole thing together incorrectly.
I used to do Legos. I know how to follow instructions. I'm more worried about the electronical pieces of this thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be an adventure, but we're quite a ways from dealing with that. Okay, so we're going to flip that over. Try and get this lined up a little bit. And get them screwed back down. For those of you not familiar with this build, this thing is supposed to have working lights, headlights, brake lights, the flux capacitor lights up. Supposedly, even the radio in the car works and will play Huey Lewis. Whether that's true or not, we will find out as this build goes along. But I am not an electronics guy. This issue is a perfect example of how inadequate I actually am with this sort of thing. So yeah, getting to all those crazy wires and cables and hooking all that stuff up should be a grand adventure. But when I first got involved in this build, Eagle Moss was advertising that any fool can put this together. We'll see how that pans out. I will be very disappointed if we get like 50 episodes in and then I get stumped. But that's what the Facebook page is for. For those of you watching, there is a Facebook page called Build the Delorean 1/8 Scale by Eagle Moss, where you can go and get help for this sort of thing. Okay, so now we've got the right extensions on both sides. And here you can see that the extended part is in the back. So we're going to need to put it like this. And then this piece goes there with 2 more screws. So let's get cracking on that. I guess I only need 2 for right now. I'm going to leave that a little bit loose until I get the other one in there. Okay, so there's that. This is what we got so far, which is right there.
No, 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 no. Put one on, put the other one on. There you go.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes, you are.
Looks like the little notch goes on that side. Okay, so it should be symmetrical from the front there. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
So, Shan for the save.
Yep, Shan for the save.
And now we're done with all the pieces. And now we hook it up to the other piece.
Okay. And hopefully that's actually relatively straight, because I'm guessing we're going to find out right now if it is or not. So, here is our piece from the previous episode, episode 19. You can see we've got the little mounds right here that are right here. So we're going to need to line those up right next to this section here, which means it needs to fit just like that. And then I'm guessing we're just going to be driving screws in here. There's which is right there in the bottom section.
Which means 6 AP screws.
So yeah, based on the diagram, this should be correct. So we'll go ahead and get 6 more screws out. That's probably more than 6, but I don't care. We can put the other ones back. But it looks like through blind luck, that thing actually lined up pretty much perfectly.
Thanks to Shan Chan.
Thanks to Shan Chan. Okay, I'm going to get all these tightened again once I get all 6 of them on, just to make sure everything lines up.
So it kind of looks like they're being very accurate with the stuff that's even going to not really be able to be seen once it's together.
Well, theoretically, you should be able to see all this, because you'll be able to lift up the back area here and actually view the engine. For those not familiar with the DeLorean, the engine is in the back, not in the front.
Kind of like a VW bug.
But yeah, as this thing gets built, the model should start looking cool, because you'll be able to see every single little detail of the engine.
It just seems like there's so much in this that not all of it will be able to be seen.
There is a
There's
chance
so
of
much.
that.
It's very detailed. And for the most part, very high quality pieces.
Yeah, it's even going to have like carpet for the interior and stuff.
Neat.
And naturally, we've got one piece, one screw that doesn't want to go here.
It's probably just off slightly. Do you need to look at it?
Looks like it may have been machined incorrectly.
Oh, again?
I'm not seeing a hole there at all.
This has happened a couple of times.
See if we can just kind of force it in there.
Depending on which piece is the one that wasn't machined, it might work.
Yeah, well, the piece that wasn't machined was plastic.
Yeah.
So it looks like I was able to force it in there. So now we got all of them in. So now I'm just going to tighten them down.
There has been a couple of times where we had to fend-angle it because it was not machined fully.
Yep. Yeah, this is definitely not a perfect build by any means. However, if you get stuck and something isn't the way it's supposed to be, Eagle Moss, at least in the US, is very good about getting you replacement parts, or stuff that they accidentally forgot. Now, I've heard that if you're building this thing in Australia, you're pretty much up a creek. Their customer service over there, whatever's going on, you just can't get what you need. Most people that are building this in Australia right now are basically begging and pleading people in other parts of the world to help them out so that they can actually get the build complete. So, if anyone from Australia is watching this, which I seriously doubt, but you never know, given the wonders of the internet, think very carefully before you decide to order this thing. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, if you have a friend in the U.S., it might not be too hard. It just might take a lot longer.
Yep. And then, of course, there's shipping charges and all those wonderful things. So, I was able to get all 6 screws tightened down. And this is what we got so far, which looks pretty much exactly like that. So, yeah, that's the way it looks in the picture right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks to Shan Shan, we avoided disaster there, and this issue is complete. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.